Today's episode is going to be brought to you by Henshaw Trailer Sales of Richland, Iowa, Smithburg Auto of Fairfield, Iowa, and the Packwood Locker, and the Cedar Rapids Titans Arena Football. That you can see the next game on Round Guy Radio YouTube channel will be March 20th as they take on the Wyoming Cavalry. So we've got Cody Van Fleet, Coach Van Fleet from the last year's West Burlington Falcons team. We're going to do a little preview of tomorrow night's second round of the playoffs. Welcome to the program, Coach.
Hey, thanks for having me on again, Dave.
Well, just take over and just let's talk about these games. What's coming up?
Yeah, obviously the first round of games were earlier in the week, so it's a lot of higher seeds versus lower seeds. But now that we're into round two, everything's starting to really get a little more tight, and there's some really good 1A, 2A games down here in Southeast Iowa. Obviously, so I guess we'll start off with the number one seed, Notre Dame Nikes at home hosting Danville. Obviously Notre Dame had a couple losses there late, but to two really, really good teams in Pella Christian and Keokuk. Both games were close, just not able to come through with a win. And honestly, they're two games that I think will help them get ready for this postseason run that Coach Keys and these guys are looking to make. So Notre Dame's coming in at 21-2, Danville coming in at 13-9. Obviously, Notre Dame, we talk a lot about Shea Stevens and what he brings to the table, and the rest of that senior group with Protzman and Olson and just that great depth that they have at Notre Dame. Obviously with Bears, they've been playing better lately. They got a good win earlier this week in the first round. Got one of the few road wins. We didn't see a lot of road wins this week.
Yeah, I thought that was probably the bet. If there was an upset, that was it.
Yeah,
over Winfield, Mount Union.
Yeah, they got a really nice win. I mean, Winfield was just not able to score much. Danville won 40-34, and it's one of the things that we talk about, Dave. Danville against good teams has trouble getting over that 40-point mark. A lot of their games this year, when you go back and look against, Central League Depot, West Burlington, Notre Dame, they've been in that high 30 or around 40-41 range. And the last time these two teams played, it was pretty similar. It was 72-38. Notre Dame got the win, but no, Danville got a nice win the other night, led by Connor Hewlett and Alex Holtkamp and Leighton Rice. So nobody scouts better than the Soka twins. They always have a very good scouting plan. They watch a lot of tape, and I'm sure they're going to have to try to slow this game down. But it's at Notre Dame, home field advantage for them. So that'll be a tough one. The other game, the game that I'm going to go to and watch, even though the Notre Dame game's here in town, the game that I'm going to go to is going to be down at Donaldson tomorrow night. I'm going to go watch West Burlington versus Central Lee.
Oh, this
is going to be a heck of a game. These are two teams that split with each other this year. Central Lee's 14-7, West Burlington 13-8. Two teams, West Burlington and Central Lee have played each other the last 2 years of districts, and West Burlington's won them both. But these two teams are extremely familiar. This will be the sixth time these two teams have played. Well, the ninth time these two teams have played each other in the last 3 years. So, going to be a very, very good game. Central Lee, always plays well down at their place. They have a lot of seniors, great coaching staff. It's going to be a tough one, but West Burlington's got some guys that have had that championship pedigree, I guess you could say. I mean, they've been a part of this game. Figueroa's obviously played in it for the last 4 years, and some of these other younger guys were sitting on the bench the last couple of years and getting the chance to experience it. So, it's going to be a great, great contest. And, you got Will Hayes versus Figueroa, two really good post players that can step out and do a lot of stuff. You got great shooting, whether it's Ari Jennings for West Burlington versus the Swan brothers for Central Lee. Just really excited. And so, yeah, my old staff that's, we're all kind of retired. Sometimes we get in the car and go watch some games every once in a while last few weeks. So that's the game we decided we're going to go watch. So really excited about that one. The other game that I'm really excited about, Dave, is up at Mid Prairie. Mediapolis is going to be up at Mid Prairie. And this is going to be another one that, Mediapolis coming in at 15-6, finished second in the conference for the South, which is a very good league. Going up against Mid Prairie, which is a team that West Burlington played in the district finals last year, and they took us into overtime. They're a football team. They play extremely hard. I call them a football team because their head coach is also the head football coach.
Yeah, he
They
is.
just they
Yeah,
just have
Coach
that
Lambert.
mentality. Yep, they have that mentality, Dave.
Well,
They play they're tough, they're physical. Yeah.
it seemed like, at the beginning of the year, they were ranked pretty high. There's a lot of expectations on them. They kind of started out hot. They had a couple losses here and there that people were wondering if they were going to reach their potential. But from what I can see down the stretch, they played really good. I mean, I was checking into the Fairfield game. They went at like 54-13 or something like that. I know they got a kid named Henry that's
Yeah,
a
yeah,
really great
Bryce
player,
Henry.
but they got 3 or 4 guys, 15 points a game or more, I think.
Yeah, they've got, obviously Bryce Henry leading the team in scoring and rebounds, averaging 17-6, almost 18 points a game. Brooks Weber, good guard for them, leads them in assists. Uh, They're they're just physical. Last year when we played them, we just we had to kind of get rid of that finesse game a little bit, Dave, and just go to it turned into a street fight. And they forced us to play a different style of basketball than we probably wanted to play. But we did, and we were very, very, very lucky to get out of the district with a win. So, the thing with Meepo though is they've got so many seniors. They've got so many guys
They sure
that
do.
know it's a win or go home, and whether it's Will Lutniger, Max Griffin, Worrell, I mean they just have done. They got
Didn't
they
Kyler
got
Crow
so many.
he got a scholarship for something to college or something, I think.
I haven't seen anything, but I haven't talked to Coach Worrell in a couple of weeks. Usually we touch base every once in a while, but I know this time of year everybody's just so busy. I kind of
Yeah, I
um
know.
just
We missed each other last night,
yeah.
but
But yeah, both teams, Meepo averages 61 a game and Mid Prairie 62. And, they're both giving up in the low 50s. They both are beating teams by about 8, 9 points a game. It's going to be a interesting matchup. Obviously, the physicality of Mid Prairie is what would scare me if I was Meepo. And if I was Mid Prairie, I'd be scared of Meepo's
yeah, they got that
seniors and their ability
Hudson
to score.
Airfoot. I think he's a basketball player too. I think,
Yeah.
and
So,
he's an all-state running back. And you want to talk about a bruiser? Man,
yeah,
that guy is a bruiser. He's a tank. You know,
yeah,
uh, they got a lot going on. That's going to be a great game. What's your
yeah.
insights on that? What are you thinking?
Well, obviously, I've seen both these teams in the last year. I watched a little bit. I watched the Mid Prairie versus Iowa City Regina the other night. Just it was on Friday night. I wanted to kind of see, how they matched up against them, and Regina's ranked in the 2A. They're a very good team. The winner of the Central E West Burlington game is probably going to have to go to Regina. I would say they're probably going to win their next round. So I kind of want to just kind of get a feel for it. I mean, both teams have a winning pedigree. Both teams are well coached. Records you can toss it up. Both teams playing a really good league. I mean, that league that Mid Prairie plays in is just as good, if not better, than the South Super Conference South Division. So, I have a soft spot, obviously, for the South. So I'll go with Meepo if you made me flip a coin. But I think that's going to be a really close game.
Well, I'll tell you, the winner of that will be earning their way through that. Yeah, I'm thinking. I don't know. Mid Player's playing pretty good right now, but we'll see.
Yeah,
That's
Meepo's had a couple losses to, they lost to Washington, they lost to Mount Pleasant pretty handedly. They had a tough one. Was it Holy Trinity that somebody got them late in the year up at their place that kind of shocked us all. But again, it's a new season. The postseason is a whole new animal, and when you have all these seniors that know that this is it, it sometimes will bring out. It's definitely going to bring out the focus and the intensity. So hopefully, but it's going to be a heck of a game for sure.
Well, I'm asking just a little bit of. This seemed like a tremendous jump in talent, from last week's or Monday night's opening round there. Half the teams in the state are done, and so you and I see a lot of good teams around here. So after tonight, whatever's left, half those teams are going to be done, and we're 2 games away from having 2 teams left per bracket there.
Yep.
And it's getting, but it gets pretty serious right here. So go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, no. So you're exactly right. I mean, once you get past that first round, the upset factor increases tenfold. There's nobody outside of Danville, Notre Dame that I would, the rest of them, I would say, the upset bid of the games that I've been looking at are probably there. Not saying that Danville couldn't shock the world. Obviously, like I said, well coached and they put some good stuff together, but they're going to have to keep Notre Dame's transition in check. But the rest of these games, the fourth game, Dave, that I had written down that I think is going to be a really good game is Holy Trinity at Pekin.
Yeah.
That's going to be a really good one. Pekin at 19-4 plays in the north versus Holy Trinity and plays in the south. It's at Pekin, which I think gives a little bit of it. Obviously, gives an advantage to Pekin, but I think the one thing that I would look at is how the North versus the South went 2 weeks ago in the shootout. I mean, the South went 8-0 against North teams in the shootout a couple weeks ago. So anytime a North versus South team plays, even though Pekin was second and Holy Trinity was fifth, I think that's going to be a really, really good game. Pekin obviously is the favorite. They beat Seymour 79-43 the other night in the first round,
and because Holy Trinity had a lot tougher draw with the Waco.
Yeah, they had to play Waco and beat them 66-50, and so obviously I think I'm gonna give the advantage. I've got a saying in my house: until you've done it, you ain't done it. And until somebody from the South loses to a team from the North, I'm just gonna keep picking the South.
I think the winner of this one plays Notre Dame, don't they?
Yes, you're right. Yes, and that'll be on Tuesday next week. That'll be the district final. And then the winner of the district final next Tuesday will play that following Saturday for sub-state. And that'll sub-state is the top 16 teams per 4 classes. So,
and I believe the South only lost 1 team, and that was Van Buren, and they only lost by 2 points.
Yeah, and they lost to Eddyville. So I think now Eddyville goes up to Regina.
Yeah, that was a tough one, but even Van Buren played that to the last play too. I mean, that South is tough, and we had this. Okay, so last year's shootout, the North hosted, and I covered that game between Pekin and it was Winfield played somebody, and then Pekin and a Holy Trinity played, and at the time, I thought Pekin was really good. That was, and I knew the reputation or the record, of the South doing well, but I thought Pekin would give them a go.
Yeah.
But they had Luke then, Hellige, and he's just so Luke, like Luke Skywalker kind of just has the force and just so smooth and doing everything. They don't have him this year, but they rolled all over him. I was probably giving the edge to Holy Trinity, but I mean, they really did it. But I don't know that that's going to happen this time. There's a lot of good things about Pekin, and they haven't lost a game at home this year, not one. And they have some great talent, and they do have a really great player in Cole Milliken, and they got a really good rebounder in Brock, and Nolan Glick. He hit a shot at the buzzer with the buzzer going off to beat Winfield Mount Union the other night to preserve a win. Henry Adams is probably the best athlete on the field. I mean, he's not the best basketball. He's a great basketball player, but he's a all-state baseball player and all-state football player, first team. He's a great athlete, but yet he's still his ability to run, jump, climb, pick up the ball. He set the school record for single season and for the career in assists. He's the all-time assist leader for Pekin. I got to give Pekin a shot in this. Pekin's deep, and Holy Trinity is not deep. Although they did pick up a kid that's been playing really good. Do you know who that is? I guess he transferred over from Fort Madison or something.
I don't.
Well, he's only kind of emerged here late in the season. It transferred and he wasn't eligible until sometime into January anyway.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they have the 90-day rule now.
So but the bench is better than it was, and he did come in and get some points for him here because they just had the 5 guys that could play, and then that Williams kid that could spot, but it's hard for one guy to spot, 5 other guys. I'm interested how Lane Rung's going to do in this.
Yeah.
He's going to have to do in this, isn't he?
He is. I mean, he's averaging, he's doing a lot of the heavy lifting for them. He's averaging almost 20 a game at 19.6. And obviously Jack Ragar coming in as a freshman, having a phenomenal freshman year, 14.7 per game, and just has a really great eye for everything. He sees the floor well. He doesn't seem to get too rattled. He can hit the shots. He hasn't been too caught off by the older guys. Sometimes when you have a freshman, over the years, I like to put the older guys on them and just kind of try to frustrate them a little bit more, get into them a little bit more. But he seemed to have handled it well. And Lane Rung's had some big games here the last month of the season. So, obviously they're both there, but you're right. They don't have much depth. And once you get past those 2 guys from the guys that can give you a 15 to 20, it kind of goes away.
Well, what
Bindle's averaging 9. He's having a good year.
Yeah, he could be a factor. I was wondering if he would be a factor in this game.
Yep, Meredith Ellison. I mean, they have good role guys.
Yeah.
So
Ellison's a good 3-point shooter, and like say Ragar can do whatever he needs to do, but he's really good at bringing the ball up. He's a terrific little freshman there, man. He's going to be a great player someday. But Nathan Box might do some defensive stuff. He might be they might test him a little bit, but I still think the game with Central Lee where Pekin did lose in that shootout. Central Lee really out rebounded them,
Yeah.
But do you think that Holy Trinity can out rebound them like Central Lee did? Central Lee seemed to have more height.
Yeah, Central Lee, they have with Will Hayes and some of their guys, Morrison. They're a lot more physical than I would put Holy Trinity. Holy Trinity is built around guard play and action and cutting, and whereas Central Lee is, they can beat you inside or outside. So, and I don't know that much about Pekin, but if Holy Trinity can hit shots, they're going to be tough. And
yeah, they're definitely going to be tough.
But Pekin at home, like you said, Pekin at home, so that's a whole different beast.
Yeah, I know that. I mean, that's where my grandkids go, and I've been in that gym a lot of time, and there's a lot of Pekin pride in the community, and I know it'll be big, and I know it'll be loud, and I know it'll be and I know Coach Swanson will have his players ready to go. Because he's a hell of a good coach. Both teams have got great coaches. Oh, I might be doing this one, to be honest with you. If I do it, I'm going to do it, record it, because I don't want to pay the fees, but I want to do some double checking to make sure everything's okay. Because I've done that before, where I don't. I mean, the fees on this one is $400-500.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous.
And it'll be $1,500 by the time they get to where you got to the sub-states, and it's a couple times. And a lot of schools don't have that kind of money. I mean, in baseball, like maybe 1 in 10 games is broadcast at all, even in the first round, because they're asking for more money than they ought to be, I guess. But
well, I just think that all the money that the taxpayers are spending on Huddle to put in these fancy cameras and stuff, and I get the state wants to collect their fees from Bound and all that, which, but
I got a
I'd
little.
like to see. I'd like to see the games. It makes sense for the 20 or 30 people that might stay home and not go to the game because they can stream it. But to the other 100 people that are all over the country or all over the world, the grandparents and the
Yeah.
aunts and the uncles, and I it's really hard for me tomorrow night to be able to watch the game when I'm going to be texting Mason Watkins down in Florida. What's the score? Who's got what? What's going? Like, there's going to be guys texting me the whole game, knowing that I'm there, and I have to give everybody a recap because nobody, it's not
Yeah.
going to be on huddle.
I mean,
And if
I
we
just
have the
did.
technology, we should just do it.
I finally got a chance to do a Mount Pleasant game. I hadn't had a chance to do Mount Pleasant this year. I'm doing everything I can. I think I did a pretty good job of getting to as many teams as I could. But we got a chance to get Mount Pleasant on there, and they have a lot of fans that I had 3 or 4 different cities in Texas, that were listening to the game, and they were just so happy that they could see their grandkids or their kids or nephews and nieces and nephews, and we get them from all over the world and or all over the country, and it's kind of it makes you feel good because they'll
Yeah.
message you and tell you how much that meant to them. And I got stopped in church the other day. This guy was just telling me you know, how much him and his family appreciate what we do and the coverage that we give them. And I think we're making a big difference. And we're going to keep going. There's going to be some changes. I might as well tell people what's going to happen. So by the time the baseball season rolls around, we'll pretty much be on YouTube. I don't know if I can find some reasonable place a platform to broadcast off of, but my relationship with Podbeam has become untenable. But 8.9 billion people watch YouTube. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, 400,000 people have Podbeam, so it's like a different galaxy. And we did such good numbers on that arena football game that we did Sunday. Had 2,400 views of the game. We had over 600 hours of watch time. I went from 77 subscribers to 215. It's just been, I don't know why, we're over 150,000 downloads on the podcast, and we built up a great audience on Facebook. I really think that was a good area for us to platform off of. And we did get those Facebook listeners. I kind of think we were alone in that, because everybody else was on YouTube, but there's a reason everybody else is on YouTube. And so we're going to switch over. Everything will be on YouTube because now I can go live on YouTube, and I might as well. That's where people are watching, and that's what the people are doing. And I'm feeling really good about the change, and I'm learning. Hell, I even learned how to cut out a highlight. I cut out a highlight for the first time ever. So maybe I can get back and get on the YouTube anyway. It was a little easier, and I think I can get in there and start cutting out highlights of the games, and I think that'll help promote everything. But I think once people find us, and I'll just have to keep telling everybody over and over, you got to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm only limited to having so many people at a time watch because I don't have as many listeners, but say I got up to 215 from 77 in one night, and we're making a big name for ourselves in that arena football. And look, let's just face it, what I mean? If you're wondering, why I'm not covering golf and tennis and track, it's because nobody listens to that. You know what I mean? I mean, I just don't want to be spinning my wheels on anything. So we're going to really focus on the arena football. We got 5 games and maybe a 6th if we can get into the playoffs a little further. But I think we got a great team up there, and that'll be exciting. And we'll kind of break this out a little bit nationwide and just get us into a better situation. But I apologize to everybody. It's not really so much my fault, but for 5 years, this thing run like clockwork. You know what I mean? I really never. I mean, I might run out of time for like 3 weeks or for like 3 days or something, but then I would just wait till I got more hours and load all that stuff up, and it wasn't a big break. But there was a big break here right down the stretch. I kind of, left you when you needed me most, really. But the coaches I've been talking to have been pretty supportive about it, and I think we did a pretty good job overall through the whole season. There was a little glitch where I just you're not used to the content because I'm like the world's biggest producer of content. I put out more content than about anybody else. But that's what you got to do to keep everybody up. So much going on, and I sure thank you, Cody. You got any thoughts or anything about, how the season went and where do you think we can get some teams in there?
Well, we didn't get a chance to talk about 3A and 4A. Those brackets just came out. I think, that'll get going next week. I think, obviously it's going to start next week's really going to get interesting because 3A and 4A, 4A schools, I think you play 2 games and you go to state. There's just not that many teams. 3A, I think it's three teams. So obviously all the 3A teams here in the area, Burlington, Fort Madison, Keokuk, Mount Pleasant, Washington, we'll start seeing all of those guys and where they come to. I'll be interested to see kind of where that plays out. But after starting Thursday, it's real. And the first round was warm ups, but now it gets fun. And I say fun, but every night, half the kids that are playing, there's going to be a lot of seniors that their high school career is going to be over, and
Yeah,
that's a hard thing. And I appreciate everything that these kids do, and the parents, and the time they put in, and the coaches, and the hours of film, and it's a lot. So it's hard to see some of it end, but it'll be fun to watch and see who can make it and see how many teams from down here maybe can make it to state. So hopefully we got a couple teams that can make it this year.
Yeah, it'll be great. I think that Notre Dame certainly has a chance. Keokuk has they've been winning some big games against some big teams. Their matchup with Fort Madison in the first round is kind of interesting. As good as Fort Madison's playing, and Nolan Guzman, putting the 51 points up on the board. And I added him to the all-round guy team. We got 7 guys. I think that's fine. There's 15 guys that deserved it, but we'll cover a big area, So, well, I don't got anything else for you, Cody. If there's anything you want to talk about or anything, I don't want to make it too long for everybody, but
I'm good. I appreciate everything, and good luck to everybody this week. And we'll talk to you again next time.
Cody, the best thing Round Guy Radio had going for it this year was you. I mean, it certainly you have the best analysis that we've ever had, and I can't say how much I appreciate you. And thanks for sticking through all the clunks in the road we had this year.
Not a problem. Not a problem. Happy to be aboard.